Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to our grand opening. We are so delighted that you joined us. Today is a celebration really of a number of things. It's a celebration of a vision of a city that is safe to walk and bike and shop and spend time with your friends and family. It is a victory of the advocacy of residents who have a dream for what they want their neighborhood and their block to look like. The ability of those residents to come together and advocate for changes on things like a bond, and then the ability for a partnership of the city and the state and those local residents to actually come together and turn that dream into a reality. And so I was thinking when I walked down the street the first time of the great philosopher Cars. Remember the Cars movie? There's a great quote in Cars where they said, "We believe in the days where you drove or got on the roads not to make great time, but to have a great time." The idea is it doesn't always matter how fast you can get from one place to the other. It matters what is the experience of the time that you're there. And when you look at this beautifully new designed street here on 25th, what you'll see is it is not a straight shot. It is not designed to make it as easy to go as fast as possible from one place to another. It is meant to design spaces where you can walk, you can shop, you can sit, you can eat and drink and talk to friends and neighbors. You can get a little lost along the way, and that is actually part of what makes it powerful. And so we think today is a great success on two fronts, and all of the amazing women who helped deliver it and build it and envisioned it will tell you about the vision to get it here, starting with our now council president, who was, I think, then not yet even a council member, but a council aide when she first envisioned this idea to put into the bond. But I think what we see today are two major improvements. One is you take one of our busiest streets, Federal Boulevard, which is also one of our sometimes most dangerous streets. It can be a part of our highest injury network. And we've made significant changes to make this crossing the safest one possible, which is this new hawk signal, which you'll see here. Make sure that any pedestrian that wants to cross can push the button. I just tested it 3 times. It works miraculously well. And you can be completely lost in conversation when you're crossing that street and not worry about your safety. But it allows that hawk signal to give you safe passage anytime pedestrians are coming through. And then, of course, connects them to this beautifully activated pedestrian and bike-friendly and festival-friendly street where we can do all sorts of wonderful activations that will make this neighborhood and the city vibrant. And so we are really excited to be here today, excited about what this represents. I want to say thank you to many of the advocates who you hear from today, including Jill Locantori. People may know that a huge part of the citywide movement around safe streets, which is now led in part to the Denver Streets Partnership, started with the advocacy around this block. It started with a group of neighbors who wanted to be able to make this section of Denver safer. They raised their voices. They started an organization. They connected with council members. They got onto a bond. And so this today doesn't just celebrate the completion of one project, but really the fruition of community activists who said, we believe we can dream a city that looks the way we want it to do, and we can deliver a city that looks and feels the way we want it to do. And that is what today represents. And so thank you for everyone that was involved at every stage of this process. I'm delighted to introduce the woman that actually delivered the completion of this process, which is our executive director of Dottie. Please welcome to the stage, Amy Ford.
And we all know that I personally did not deliver this. However, I do want to acknowledge the very, very many people who did. And when I say that, I do want to focus on people here in these remarks. This street and these roads and this infrastructure is the embodiment of what people-centered design is and what it looks like. You're sitting on a street that has the very first of its kind here in Denver, as the mayor ably pointed out. It is not a straight shot. And in fact, to use a technical term, it is a chicane. And what chicane means is really a wavy road. And when we talk about a wavy road, it's designed to make you linger. It's designed to make you shop. It's designed to make you safe. It's designed to encourage you to engage in the infrastructure and in the space and in place. And so it is about people and it is about place and what we see here. But it is also about safety. And when we talk about the improvements that were made really from 23rd all the way to 26th, not only do we have a hawk signal, but we have a 26th Avenue at one point was the most dangerous corridor and crossing along Federal Boulevard. And with the small changes that were made, just small tweaks in geometry and infrastructure, we actually took that street, narrowed it, straightened it, and in doing so created a safe environment for people to walk and bike. And in fact, I just biked across it a couple of weeks ago. And I want to do that and acknowledge then the people who were a part of this. So Gosha, where are you? There is Gosha. Come. Gosha was the lead of Walk Denver at the time. She was the one who also lives in this neighborhood, who dreamed what this street and what this place, let's be better describing it, could be, and partnering with Jill and others. And so Gosha, thank you for your vision. Thank you for your determination to continue to engage with us on how we build this. And then Dallas Howard. Dallas, where are you? Where did you stand? So Dallas Howard is standing over here. Dallas is our project manager on this team. But he does not do it alone. He does it with the colleagues and the partners who design and engage in all of this, in making this place something that we're all now standing in and seeing the fruition of all that labor. If I could have every Dottie team member who's sitting here who actually had a hand in this project, whether it was your very first project, Mike, Paige, and others, that you actually worked on, but if you could raise your hand just so you can see the people behind this, so that you understand what it takes to bring this here. Thank you, guys. And then lastly, I do want to thank the neighbors, the advocates, and others for all of the work. Our partners in construction, Concrete Express, Joe O'Day and team. If I could have you all just raise your hands as well. I know that you guys are sort of sitting over here. It's absolutely stunning and beautiful work. And then lastly, for our businesses, and I know that we're going to sit and talk about our businesses, and the newly rebranded Jeff Park at Federal. Thank you for your time, your patience, your activism, and your engagement with us. We know that also construction is not an easy thing to live through. And you did. We're here. We're at the end of it. And say thank you again for your partnership, too, in making this a reality. So again, we so appreciate the people, because this is what place is about, is the people. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the person who was so active and so instrumental in making this out, Council President Amanda Sandoval. Thank you.
Thank you all, and welcome to the North Side, as I fondly call it. So the vision and why people keep talking about my role in it is in 2015, I was hired as a council aide for my predecessor, Councilman Espinosa. And the bond, we knew there was going to be a 2017 bond. And we were going through the bond process, and it's a very public process. We had gotten Inspiration Park into the bond for Northwest Denver and a couple other things. And Councilman Espinosa does not live far from here, and I grew up in this neighborhood, and Federal is a high injury network, meaning it's not safe to cross. And during the very final moments of the bond on City Council one night, I came up to him and I said, hey, I've been doing research, and I think we need to get a bond project in for Federal, and I think we also need to get a bond project in for West Colfax. And at that time, Council District 1 also was representing West Colfax. And he said, do you have the information? And I said, I do. I've been working on this behind the scenes for months. And I worked on it, and I brought a budget amendment to the bond, and this is how we are here today, is I handed it to my predecessor. I said, will you work on this? And we collaborated with that, at that time, Councilman Lopez, who's our clerk and recorder now, and we were able to get this bond project at the very last minute. And he asked what the importance was. And back to what Amy Ford said, it was the people. I heard from people like Cindy, who's a neighbor over here, that it was very scary to cross Federal. I heard from Tom Brunn, who's in the crowd, that this was very needed. I heard from a lot of our walk advocates, our bike advocates. Gosha lives in the neighborhood. Thinking of the people who came before me, Nita Gonzalez, who's in here, whose shoulders I stand on, and who has been a mentor of mine. And really, it's a privilege to be able to do this. But I will say, on every side of a privilege, there's a burden. And so right behind me, there's this Red Top Rendezvous. It opened and it closed because of the construction. And I just ran into the gentleman the other day, last Friday, and he was like, Councilwoman Sandoval, you were the one who came and did a podcast at my restaurant. And I said, I am. And he goes, when is it opening? When is 25th Avenue opening? And I said, next Thursday. And I said, when will your pizza place reopen? And he said, just be patient. And I said, I will. So I just want to call that out, because this has been hard for 2914 coffee. So when you have an opportunity later today, please go to the Federal, please go to Santiago's, please go to 2914, please go to Red Top Rendezvous when it reopens, and support our local businesses, because that's who gets this done. And that's why I have the honor of representing Northwest Denver, is for the small local businesses and the people here. And just want to say thank you to my predecessor, Councilman Espinosa, the Honorable Espinosa. I invited him. I don't think he is able to make it. But it was his dream and believing in a leader. When he decided not to run, he was the one who came to me and said, you should run. This is your council district. You're the one who's brought these budget amendments. You're the one who runs the office. And so all of us need someone else to believe in us. And so thank you to the Dottie workers who believed in this vision. Thank you to, at the time, Mayor Hancock, who believed in this vision. And most importantly, thank you to the voters. Because even though the city council passed this, we sent it to the voters in 2017. And a lot has happened since that time. COVID of the world has changed a lot in my point of view. And so thank you for voting, and thank you for making sure that we were here today. And with that, as many of you may know or may not know, CDOT is federal is a CDOT highway. And so with that, I have the honor of introducing Andy Drum from CDOT.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here to celebrate this labor of love for many community members and for many workers that really put their heart and soul into this project. This project's also another great example of CDOT and Dottie working together to save lives. We are committed to reducing the number of fatalities and serious injuries and have aggressive targets to achieve that in the coming years. It's projects like this one that garner progress toward achieving our mutual goal of Vision Zero. Hawk signals help make pedestrian crossings safer for everyone, whether you're walking, rolling, or driving. Studies of effectiveness of the Hawk signals show that in locations where they have been installed, the vehicle pedestrian crashes have decreased by almost 70%. I mean, that is significant. This project is made possible in part through the Safer Main Streets funding program. CDOT, in partnership with the Denver Regional Council of Governments, or DRCOG as we call it, launched the program in 2020 during the height of COVID. Safer Main Streets started with a call out to local government agencies in the metro area to submit their best and most innovative solutions that would reduce fatal and serious injury crashes. And that would support all modes of travel and improve access, mobility for residents of all ages, incomes, and abilities. Recognizing the potential of this program to make a tangible difference in safety, CDOT and DRCOG developed a rigorous application process, and Denver submitted, and they were successful in being awarded $3.8 million in Safer Main Street funds that went towards this project. So congratulations to the Dottie team on a successful project implementation. Now I will introduce our next speaker, Nikki Mohop, owner of the Federal Bar and Grill.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikki Mohaupt. My husband Christopher and I own and operate Federal Bar and Grill just a half block north of here, if y'all want to come by. It is great to be here today to say a few words and represent the board of the Federal Boulevard Business Improvement District. We also have some hats for the Business Improvement District at the tent over here. We are a group of small businesses proud to serve our community, and we are dedicated to making it a better, more livable, and enjoyable place to be. We would like to thank the Denver voters and CDOT for funding that made these investments possible for our neighborhood. The improvements implemented, including the addition of the new green infrastructure and natural plantings, make the area more attractive. In addition, many of our patrons live in this neighborhood, so it is important that those walking or biking to our establishments are able to do so safely. It is the goal of the Federal Boulevard Business Improvement District to continue to pursue all resources available to expand these improvements through our entire district. We want to thank the community members that put a spotlight on this location more than a decade ago with the Better Block Jefferson Park demonstration project, and who helped develop the vision of what this area could become. That same community advocated for this bond project that will make getting around our neighborhood safer. And to speak more on this is I'm so sorry, Jill. Locantore, Executive Director of the Denver Streets Partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. I am Jill Locantore from the Denver Streets Partnership, which is a coalition of community groups advocating for people-friendly streets here in Denver. And I am particularly excited about today's celebration because, as the mayor mentioned, our coalition and the movement for more people-friendly streets can trace its roots to the Better Block demonstration project that took place at this exact location 12 years ago. It's common for people to assert that Denver is a car-centric city, but it has not always been that way. And in fact, many neighborhoods in Denver, including Jefferson Park, grew up around an extensive streetcar system that was in place for nearly 80 years. The streetcars are gone, but they left their impression on our neighborhoods with embedded commercial districts like this, where people who lived in the neighborhood could walk to locally owned shops and restaurants that were clustered around the transit stop. But as our transportation system evolved to prioritize driving over other ways of getting around, commercial areas like this started to suffer, and a lot of small mom and pop businesses closed their doors. And so the Better Block Jefferson Park project came together when community members like Go Shikung and other founding members of Walk Denver started to imagine, what if we could revive that historical character of this street? What if once again we could make 25th and Federal the heart of our neighborhood, a place that prioritized the life of the community over the movement of vehicles? That demonstration project led to not only this permanent street improvement that we're celebrating today, but it did spark the pedestrian advocacy movement across the entire city of Denver. Other community members in other neighborhoods came together to do similar demonstration projects, which have also led to more permanent street improvements in those neighborhoods as well. Looking forward, I'm hopeful that this project here at 25th will continue to inspire similar improvements up and down the Federal Boulevard corridor. As we prepare to launch bus rapid transit on Federal Boulevard by the end of the decade, and as we continue to embrace Denver's roots as a transit-oriented city, as a people-oriented city. Today is an important reminder that we are only limited by our courage and by our imagination of what is possible. If we are bold enough to imagine the transformation of a car-centric highway like Federal Boulevard into a truly people-friendly Main Street with excellent transit and nodes like this one up and down the corridor that serve many different West Side neighborhoods, it is within our power to make that happen. So today, let's celebrate that courage and imagination by cutting a ribbon. Are we actually cutting a ribbon? All right, let's cut the ribbon.